I like how you mentioned that because, yeah, I am so pro therapy. Like I say it everywhere, like I'm so pro therapy because, like you said, it's not so much about you, but it's about how you begin to bleed on other people as well. So if you don't get
Right.
healed, if you don't get help for yourself, you hurt other people.
Sure. Because my other partner
Mm.
did not want to sign the paperwork for the house to be sold. So I actually forced myself into foreclosure. That's a story for another day. Like, why did you do that? How did you do
Wow.
that? And so I knew the ramifications. I knew that my credit was going to be affected. But
Mhm.
even with bad credit, I'm telling you folks, even with bad credit, you can come back from bad credit.
Hello, welcome to Life as we Say podcast with A and A. Welcome to another fantastic episode of our podcast where we bring you entertaining topics around faith, love, relationships, social issues, personal true life stories, and everything in between. And on today's episode, I have a very beautiful, lovely lady. Her name is Natoyah Grinnon. Welcome, Natoyah.
Hi, Zuki. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Yeah. So, a brief intro on Natoyah. Natoyah is a visionary leader and the CEO of Apex Global Properties, where she specializes in mortgage notes, tax liens, and tax deeds. With a passion for improving financial well being, Natoyah is dedicated to providing long term strategies and accessible investments for her clients. Wonderful. I love that. In addition to her role at Apex Global Properties, Natoyah is a board member of REIA New York City and also serves on the legislative committee where she offers valuable insights on legal updates in the real estate industry. Her commitment to education and empowerment extends to her Bold Living podcast, where she supports entrepreneurs and organizations in building wealth and achieving their goals. Natoyah's innovative approach and dedication to her clients have earned her recognition as a leader in the real estate investment field. She's a co-author of the bestseller book, Push Beyond Your Limits, with stories of entrepreneurs who experienced obstacles and fear while trying to pursue their dreams but overcame. Through Apex Global Properties and her podcast, she continues to inspire and empower others to achieve financial success. You can connect with Natoyah and learn more about her work at www.apexglobalproperties.com. And I'm going to put that in the description box as well. Wow, that was a very impressive bio.
Thank you.
Welcome,
Thank you.
Natoyah.
Thank
Nice
you.
to have you.
Same
Wow. How has your weekend been? How's your day been?
Day has been good. Day has
It's
been
been
good.
good.
Weather is good as well. Just happy to be here and to share my story with your audience and see how if it can help some individuals, some women as well as men through my going through my adversities, and hopefully it'll be inspiration for someone to keep pushing forward. So I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for coming. So let's just dive right into it. So, Natoyah, can you
Sure.
tell us about yourself, your background, early childhood experience, your journey to moving to America? We talk behind the scenes, you're an immigrant, so all of that we want to hear.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
sure. So I am a Jamaican. I grew up in the rural part, so not in the city. I grew up in St. Anne, which is on the north coast, which is one of the tourist areas. And growing up, very humble background. We didn't have much, but back in those days we were poor, but I didn't even know we were poor. Your parents and grandparents always have a way of sheltering you. We didn't get everything, but we were still happy with what we had, and just very, very happy childhood, I would say. And so, growing up in the rural area, I was my first 11, 12 years of life. And then for high school, I moved to the city for high school. So I got a different experience, being in the city for high school. Growing up, I would help my grandmother. She was a local farmer. So I would help her with all the things that she would be planting. I would, follow her to the markets on weekends. I tell folks that that's where I learned how to read the scale. That's the way that I learned how to make change. After she, was confident that I was able to make the change correctly without giving away all her profits.
She really had huge trust in you. She
Right,
believed in
right.
you.
That was a big responsibility as a child,
Yeah.
right? But she helped me along, and she made sure that I was doing it correctly, and she gave me a little bit of independence in that sense, to help her out at the market. So I really love those times. Sometimes I reminisce. She's no longer with us, but sometimes I reminisce about those years, and just thinking of, man, if I knew, I would have just loved on her a little bit more. But yeah, it was good. And then so transitioning from high school, I did all the years of high school, and then at the end of high school, we migrated here to America, to New York specifically.
So you were still a teenager?
Yes, when I migrated, I was 19 actually.
19, okay.
And then when I came here, I went straight into college. Went to college in Massachusetts, Bentley University, and did my college years there. Got a bachelor's in computer information systems.
Wow.
And have been working in different industries actually, but primarily the financial services industry. And investments is where I have been working for most of my professional career.
Wow, that is solid. Nice. So you're one of the computer geeks. So
I would
computer
say a geek.
No, I respect people who did computer science, computer information system, because
yeah, well, I wouldn't say a geek. The computer information systems is more of a blend between computer and business.
Yeah.
So it's not so much heavily on one side.
It's not coding and all that. Okay.
It's not coding. Correct.
Okay.
But I tell folks that most of the times in my corporate career, I hardly use my computer degree, right? Skills to my computer degree. It's very investment and business driven is more of my focus. Yeah.
I see.
But it's a nice.
No, it is. I mean, in today's world, like the world is going computer. It's a wonderful skill. So how was transitioning into the US as a teenager, as a migrant? Did you come in did you do, okay, you didn't do high school, so you went straight into college. What was it like, just settling into a new environment, into the American culture? Did you have culture shocks, all of those?
Oh, geez, I wanted to go back. I think we all have culture shock where we come, because it's never like what you see on TV or in the movies, right?
Yeah.
So when I came, yes, I had culture shock. Obviously the language is the same, but just the nuances in the different slangs and things that they use here, or even that I was accustomed to, like things would mean different things to me than it would for others that I'm communicating with. So it was getting used to that. I've had some very embarrassing moments where I said things that meant something way different here. And, outside of that, just acclimatizing myself to a new environment, especially not experiencing cold before and winter before. So adjusting to that, and especially going to school in another state away from my family right after I came, that took some adjustment, just to not being around family. And for the first year of college, because my parents were in New York, my mom was in New York, but I went to school in Massachusetts. So every weekend I would take the bus home on a Friday evening. And back then, there wasn't a lot of cell phones, right? So I'd have to use the public phone to call her when I get to the stop to let her know that I was okay. And then she would calculate, by what time I should be coming home. And dear forgot, if I come home longer than, say something was wrong on the train or the bus and I came home longer than, she'll be so worried about
how did we survive without cell phones? Like, I feel like I can't even. Wow.
Yes. I know.
And we functioned fully, like we're full functional human beings. We lived our lives, and there were no cell phones. Wow.
Yes. I know. The millennials don't know what we're talking about.
They don't know.
And the Gen Zs, like, forget it.
Forget it. Yeah, Gen Zs
those years helped me along, because that was the first time being quote unquote on my own. Being on the living on the dorm, living on campus. And so I would say just my upbringing helped me in my college life. So I was not so much a shy person. I would socialize, but it would take me a little bit to get, used to comfortable to open up. And so I was never really a party person. Believe it or not, I never partied when I was in college. I was very grounded in my faith.
Wow.
I was very much, in church. I found a church that was local to school, to college while I
Okay.
was there. So I think that, helped me along to find a local family, so to speak, a church family. And just making sure that I was still staying close to the vine, still making sure that I was reading my Bible, going to Bible study, participating different events that were happening at church. So that was my focus outside of college, when I had time on the weekends, and I didn't have a whole lot of projects to do. I felt like every class was a group project.
I know.
Saying that, also to say that those things helped me for my when I transitioned into the corporate world. Being in group projects helped me, because that's really what it was all about when I started my professional career, about how to deal with folks from different backgrounds, how to deal with different level of experiences, with different personalities and things of that sort. So I would say my college years definitely helped me transition into the corporate world.
Wow, that is fantastic. Yeah. A lot of times we think going to college, all we get from it is like academic knowledge, scientific knowledge, but you also acquire other skills, right?
Other social skills.
Said, how to communicate and have
definitely
interpersonal skills, which is good. And I agree with you. Honestly, a lot of times I have engineering background, and my research, what I do for my day job, is nothing related to the core research I did, right? So it's not so much about what I did in school, but just those little skills.
Transferable skills, correct.
Those transferable skills, yeah.
Correct.
So that's nice. I'm glad, you're able to settle in quickly, and you have the support of your family, and you continued in that good path of, just being the good girl. We immigrants, our parents will say to us, I came here, I didn't come with my parents, but I hear a lot of immigrants, young kids saying, their parents tell them, don't forget the family from which you came from. Don't forget the home. Don't disgrace us. Don't go and join. Don't go to parties. Don't do bad things, So remember, you're an immigrant, so be on your best behavior.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah. It's interesting you say that. Okay. So I wanted to ask about your personal life. Can you share a bit about your personal life?
Sure. Sure. Currently, I am divorced. I have been divorced for, over 6 years. I stopped counting.
That's a long time.
Over 6 years, since 2016. Prior to, how should I say? So I'm okay now, right? With being divorced. It wasn't a pleasant experience. I don't think most times it's not really pleasant. Very seldom you hear about amicable divorce, which is unfortunate, actually. But currently divorced. That was a very difficult period of my life. It happened at a time when I had decided that I was going to leave corporate and I was going to focus on my business. I've tried many entrepreneurial endeavors over the years, and this was one of many. And I, just when I decided that I wasn't, I was going to fully leave corporate at this time, instead of having, one foot in, one foot out kind of a thing. And it happened. It was difficult. I wanted to work it out. And when you're not in the situation, you're like, oh, if that ever happens to me, there's no way I'm working it out. I'm not. But then when the situation hits you, you have a different perspective, right? And so I wanted to work it out, but the other party didn't want to. And so, I had to become accepting of that. I went to therapy. And I must tell you, being, someone in the church, that's not a subject that's really talked about a lot. Therapy, it's more like a taboo kind of a thing. And so I was very glad that my pastor was very receptive to it. I went and I spoke to him, in private about what was happening, and said to him that I needed to speak with someone, if he could recommend someone. And so he did. The psychologist that he recommended was a very good fit, because if you and the psychologist doesn't fit, or have good chemistry, that therapy sometimes doesn't work out, or be very beneficial to you. And that's why sometimes you find folks going from changing therapists over the time. But it was good. Did that for quite a while. Sometimes I feel like I still need to go back for some other sessions, because it's an ongoing, work in progress kind of thing. It's not something that just happened with a, snap of a finger. But I would say therapy, helped me very much during that time. I am able to like talk about my story with folks and not be crying, uncontrollably. So I would definitely, say to folks, especially for Christians, sometimes others would say, oh, just go to the altar and leave it at the altar, kind of a deal, right? But go see a professional, right? Yep. Everything has its purpose. God tells us that everything that we need is in the kingdom, right? So you find a therapist who's connected, who's have the similar beliefs and values that you have, right? And that's someone that you trust. And definitely talk about it, because like I tell you, it will definitely help. I have folks say to me, oh man, you don't look like what you've gone through. And that's just the grace of God, honestly. Because there were days when I couldn't even pray, right? Just the sorrow, just the time that you invested, yourself that you invested, the monies that you invested, just everything. And just going through that to see that, wow, this is how it, it all gonna end, or this is how it ends. Everybody deals with things differently, and I would say don't bottle it up inside of you. Talk to someone professional. Go see a therapist. There's nothing wrong with seeing a therapist. That he or she, will keep your conversations private, right? Definitely talk it out. And I came to that realization that I needed a therapist, actually, Zuki. The one day I was actually at work, and my boss said something to me, and I snapped. Snapped meaning I said something that was out of character, and lucky enough, I was able to recognize that. And that's when I said, oh, this is affecting me in other ways that I haven't even recognized that it's actually affecting me. And that's when I said, okay, I got to talk to somebody about this. And so luckily my boss, was very understanding, and I just gave him a snippet of what was happening, and he was understanding, and he was like, don't worry about it, that's okay, your apology is accepted, kind of a thing. And I went and spoke to someone and got some help. And definitely through that, I was being able to work out the things that I was going through, the thoughts that I was having, just on my emotions, how I was feeling during that time. So I definitely want to encourage anyone. Yes, it's okay to continue to read the Bible and seek the Lord and pray and all that stuff. But definitely there is a place for therapists as well.
I like how you mentioned that, because I am so pro therapy. Like I say it everywhere, like I'm so pro therapy, because like you said, it's not so much about you, but it's about how you begin to bleed on other people as well. So if you don't get healed, you don't get help for yourself, you hurt other people. And imagine hurting someone else, and the person you hurt goes ahead and hurts. Like it's just a vicious
domino effect
going, right? Domino effect. So get the help you need. It doesn't make you a weak Christian. It doesn't make you unbelieving. When you're sick, you go to the hospital, right? So when you're having issues in your mental, in your mind, why not go to a therapist? So I'm glad you did that. That's so nice. So was your ex African? Sorry, why do I keep saying? Was your ex Jamaican?
Yes.
Oh, he was. Okay. Wow, I'm so sorry to hear that, and I'm glad you were able to walk your way through out of that. And so, what role did faith play into your, bounce back? I know you did therapy. Did faith have any role to play?
Definitely. Like I mentioned, there were days where I could not pray, but just by sometimes just listening to a song, right? And then that song would just minister to me. Right? When days when I just couldn't read, I just couldn't pray, the words weren't coming. I remember one time, just being in the shower, and the only thing I could say was just, Lord, keep my mind, Lord, keep my mind, Lord, keep my mind, right? Because I felt like that, there was just like a warfare going on, right? And I just didn't know. This wasn't a road that I traversed before. So it's not like I had a blueprint or had someone, who could carry me along, because in the beginning stage, I didn't even want to tell anybody what was going on, right? So it was just me working it out. Even for a very long time, I shut my family out, right? As to what was happening. And so definitely just leaning on the Lord, just continuing to pray, like I said, just seeking guidance, and just letting the scriptures, the words from the scriptures just minister to me and answer some of my questions that I had. And like I said, sometimes just listening to music and just sobbing. And I mean, sobbing is okay. And,
It's
because I
okay.
felt better after that, right? I felt better, definitely felt better after that. And I was able to move on and go through the next day and the next day, and just to go through the process itself through that. And then by the time I felt courageous enough to let my church brothers and sisters in, those who were very, very close to me, and they could tell something was happening, because they was asking me, what's going on? You lost so much weight. What's going on? You don't look good. You don't look right. So as I got more comfortable, into letting them in as to what was going on, but then I also got support from them, and they were there for me during that time as well, and my family was there as well. So yeah.
Wow, that is fantastic. That's good to know. Thanks for sharing that. So look at you today now. You're a boss, you're a CEO, you're the founder of Apex Real Estate, company. So how did this young Jamaican immigrant lady, transition to becoming that you have your bachelor's or your degree, you've worked in corporate America? How did that transition to real estate start?
It was not a smooth road. I'll put it that way. It was not a smooth road, but I've always wanted to be in business. I've always known that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I think that entrepreneurial bug got me when in my younger years, when I started helping my grandmother with her business, right? And sometimes, reflecting now, I tell others that who are also in business to get your kids involved, because you actually don't know how you're impacting them and how you're planting seeds in them that would actually help them years down the line.
Sure.
And so I've always wanted to do business. I went to a business university, and I started in real estate actually right out of college. I started probate real estate actually, and didn't like it because it was just too emotional for me to be contacting folks, at the time when they're, lost loved ones.
Yeah.
And it was just too emotional for me. I didn't like that aspect of real estate. And going through that, I tell folks now that there's so many different aspects to real estate, and you might not know what you want to do, but try it. You'll figure it out from doing it, whether or not it's something that you like, right? And so from trying probate and realizing that I didn't like it, I started seeking something else. I went into stock investing, and then I came back into real estate. And long story short, I got into mortgage notes investing. It's a little more sophisticated strategy, because basically you are the bank. So the folks are making payments to you, the homeowners are making payments to you. So I like mortgage notes investing because I don't have to worry about no tenant calling me about plumbing issues, or tenant calling me about toilet issues, which is also plumbing, but or yard issues or roof leaks or anything. I don't have to worry about anything like that. I am on the bank side, and so the buyer takes care of all of that. So I like that aspect of it because I didn't have to necessarily deal with individuals. And I guess it's also because I'm an introvert, and people find it hard to believe that I'm actually an introvert.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
And that's why I think I gravitated.
Yeah, so how do you make it? Because I feel like an introvert being an entrepreneur and in a business like yours, like how do you?
Have to, so I talk when I have to, but when I don't, I actually, I'm reserved, right?
Right.
So I will talk up when I have to. I'll interact when I have to because I know I have to. But then if I have a choice, I'm more of the homebody, to be honest with you.
Yes, just nice cup of tea, chilling.
Yes, just
your Jimmy's at home. Yeah.
Yes. And so I think that's why I gravitated to mortgage notes, because I really didn't have to deal so much with individuals. It's more on the paper side, looking at contracts, working things out that way. And through mortgage notes investing, one of my due diligence is checking if there's any taxes that's owed on the property. And so then I knew about tax liens, right? Just from my mortgage notes investing background. But then COVID hit, and I was looking for something additional, right? I was looking to okay, how can I increase my cash flow? Is there anything additional that I could do? And so through COVID, I started looking now into tax lien investing, which I knew about, but never really delved into it as a specific strategy. And so actually this is what I focused on now, tax lien investing, because I find that the entry point is a lot less seed money is required to start up. And so I am now able to help a lot more people who look like me and you get involved in real estate, who have always wanted to get into real estate, or who have always wanted passive income, but never quite know how to get involved, doesn't have enough capital to start, doesn't have the education. And so now what I do is I focus primarily, I still do some mortgage notes, but primarily tax liens, tax deed is what I do. And I help others to do the same by providing that information to them.
Okay. Awesome. So I want to learn about these things, and I'm sure our audience also wants to. So can you go deeper into mortgage notes investing and tax lien investing and what it's about, how people can get
involved? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So mortgage notes investing is all right. So this is actually a good example of how to explain it. So say you go to the bank. You're purchasing a house. Most people get a mortgage. They don't really, well, at least here in America, they don't buy the property right out, right? You get it financed.
Yeah.
So let's say you want to buy a house, you go to the bank to get a loan to finance the house. And let's just say Bank of America for an example, right? So you go to Bank of America, and Bank of America offer you the loan to purchase the house. Now you promise the Bank of America that you're going to make those monthly payments to them, right? And so you sign a promissory note to Bank of America that you're going to make the payments, and every month you send those payments into Bank of America, and also every month well, not every month, but every quarter or every semi-annually, you send the taxes to the county because you're paying tax on the property as well. Right? That's if it's not bundled into the mortgage. Sometimes it's all bundled into the mortgage, but if you pay it separately, that's how it normally would work. So where I come in is that Bank of America, as you can suspect, they have tons and tons and tons of resources in terms of capital. And so they're really not into the real estate per se business, right? They're into, loaning out your money and making money on that loan, right? And so what they do is they will couple a bunch of loans together, and we call it a tape, and they will sell that to, say, for instance, a hedge fund. So it'll be hundreds and hundreds, right, of mortgages that are being sold. And that hedge fund might sell it to a smaller hedge fund on the secondary market and sell it to someone else. So by the time it trickles down to me, because I don't have that whole lot of cash, not there yet, they also have the opportunity to buy that mortgage note in the secondary market.
Okay.
From a trading desk that I deal with, right? That I work with, that I have a relationship with. And so what that means is you, Zuki, might get a mail that says, you used to send your mortgage payments to Bank of America. Now send your payments to Apex Global Properties, which is my company, right?
Okay.
And so the payments are now coming in to me. And that is a passive income example, all right? And in the mortgage note space, you could buy mortgage notes that are performing, meaning they're making their payments on time, and you don't have to worry about anything. The payments are coming, every month. But you could also purchase the ones where they're not paying. We call them non-performing notes. And then you could try to work it out with the homeowners to start re-performing again. So there are several things you could do. Refinance is one of the examples, right? You could help them to refinance or work out the terms, or see if you could work the terms that are a little bit more favorable to them so that they can start repaying to help them out. So I like that because I have the opportunity to help someone, right? I have the opportunity to decide what those requirements are going to be, right? Yeah. Because as you can know, I'm not sure if you know, but for minorities, there's not a lot of minorities who are homeowners. And I'm trying to help us to become homeowners, right? And so being in the mortgage note space, I'm able to now decide, what those requirements are. I can work with you, better. I can be an ethical bank, right? Quote unquote, and make sure that things are being done correctly, or we're not being like loan sharks or things like that, and make sure that it's they're favorable terms that you can actually afford to pay. And so that's what I do from a mortgage notes perspective. From a tax lien,
sorry to cut you short. So you buy these notes from the hedge funds or like the trade company you talked about. So how much of the payments goes back to you? Because they have this mortgages at an interest rate which Bank of America has offered, right? So does that interest rate get rewritten over as it goes from one hedge fund company to the other?
No, it's the same terms. It's the same terms.
Okay.
unless the individual, unless the note is not performing, meaning they're not paying, then you might have an opportunity to renegotiate that with them.
Okay.
But once they're paying, it's the same terms that you're being received. It's just that the payments are coming to me now as opposed to Bank of America. And obviously I pay Bank of America a fee, right? For
Okay.
not Bank of America in my case, but the hedge fund. I pay the hedge fund a fee for purchasing that note from them. Right?
I see.
So as you can see, right, say for instance, it's a 30-year mortgage and you've paid already 10 years into the mortgage. So there's 20 years left on it. So based on the amount that's left, and the hedge fund and I work out what my payment to them will be to take over those additional 20 years, right? Or those remaining 20 years is what I should say, right? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's how that works. No problem. I know I'm totally okay, and I'm trying to simplify it as much as possible. Obviously, there's a lot more detail and nuances to it because this is not a quote unquote mainstream strategy, so not a lot of people know about it. So I'm trying my best to simplify it as much as possible for yourself.
So can someone who Bank of America, who has maybe a poor credit score, Bank of America wouldn't loan to, can they come to your company? Do you still do this mortgage notes investing or no?
But yes, I do.
Okay, so they can come directly to you to get a mortgage from you.
So yes, and actually that's a good segue into tax liens.
Okay.
Right. So what I do is that for the tax liens, after I acquire the property, so I use a tax lien as a strategy to acquire the properties because the acquisition cost is much lower than if I was to buy the mortgage right out from say the hedge fund. So after I acquire the properties through the tax liens, and how I do that is I pay the outstanding taxes, which would be substantially less than the actual note on the mortgage, right? Or even substantially less than if I was to buy a property right out at market value, right? So I pay the taxes that's owing. The buyer, the homeowner, gets a time period where they can pay up those back taxes, right? So they pay up those back taxes plus the interest to the county. If they do that, I get the interest that they pay, that the county offers, plus the money that I had initially invested. If they don't make the payments within that time frame, then I have the opportunity to now have the deed to that property. And so when I get the deed to that property, what I do, I create a mortgage note for that deed, and that way is how I help others who have not optimal credit score. I help them to get into a property by helping, to working with them with the terms that are favorable to get them into the property.
I see. Okay, so you take ownership of that property and then turn it around and provide it to those people. Okay,
correct. And most times these properties need some work. Depending on the area, most times depending on the area will determine how much work is really needed. But it goes from like cosmetic all the way to like a full rehab, right? But so I'm able to basically come in and rehab these properties and rebuild that area of the community. Folks have a pride about living there because the homes are on the streets are being fixed up, and I'm able to put a family in there who really wants to own a home and doesn't necessarily qualify traditionally to get into a home, right? So they're able to become a homeowner, change the narrative for their family for generations to come, because as being a homeowner is one way where you can definitely start building that generational wealth.
Yeah, that's true. Wow, that's fantastic. I like that you're doing this. So this is what Apex focuses on. So your company focuses on the tax lien and portion of it. So how will someone who wants to, you're an entrepreneur, this is your business, right? But is there an investment portion of what you do where I come in as an investor and just invest and then get returns back without being a tax lien expert?
Yes. So I do have different offerings, different services that I do offer, depending on where you are. So that's a good question. For someone who just wants to become an investor, wants to, they don't have the time to invest in tax lien, or they need like a done with you kind of a program or a done for you, I definitely have those services offered. They can reach out to me through my website, apexglobalproperties.com. There's a contact there. They can contact me through there, and I'll definitely, jump in a call with them, learn more about exactly what their goals are and what they're looking to do. But yes, I offer that as well.
You do? Oh, wow, that's good. Yeah, because the mainstream investments we know are stock, stock market or savings or treasury bills and all that. So when it comes to real estate, it's a bit daunting, like knowing where to invest in, because with interest rates right now, right, most people are struggling to even buy their first homes, much more investing in real estate for profit, right? So it's nice you offer this type of services where I can come with my maybe $100, I don't know, $50 monthly or whatever it is monthly, put into it, invest in it, and have like a payback period.
Sure, it would be a one time as opposed to monthly. So what I do is, depending on what the goal of the individual is, we have a strategy section. We have about what they're looking to do, but it would be a one time initially, right?
Okay.
So we'll do it basically by projects. So it will be an initial investment, and we'll talk about how long you'd have to keep that investment there. Okay. So it's not like money that you need tomorrow to do something else, right? And we'll talk about the returns that you're looking for. And based on what you're looking for and the criteria, then I would advise you as to, whether it would be best to do tax liens or tax deeds, what counties or states would be better to look at based on what we're looking to do. So it will be a very individualized plan for that individual, for that investor. But it wouldn't be a monthly investment per se. It would just be a one time. And that one time would include everything, right? So it would include acquisitions, it would include legal fees, right? It would include everything. And I will go through that breakdown with them, the budget, so they can be aware of what's happening. Obviously, we'll be in constant conversations and communications during the time as well. So they'll be abreast of what's going on.
Okay, wow, that's nice. So what's the minimum, what's the baseline you look at for investments?
So for tax liens, for someone looking to do tax liens, I would say minimum around 4,000 or 5,000. And that's because I don't like to keep going back to the investor to say, now I need money for this, now I need money for this, right? So that 4,000 with some buffer in there is for everything, right? To get that first investment going. And then for the mortgage notes, that's a little bit more. That's probably like 40,000, right? Because the mortgage notes will cost a little bit more.
Okay, I see. And what's the payback period, for instance, for the tax lien with the 4,000?
So at least a year. So it's I say at least a year, but like I said, depending on what the goal is, because we could definitely invest in areas where the payback period will be a little bit sooner, but minimum is a year, and based on what we discussed in our strategy call, and then we could definitely look at other things as well, but minimum a year.
I see. Okay, that's good to know. So people who are interested can actually give you a call and then sit on the phone with you and have a strategy, call with you on how the investment will go and what the payback. Okay. That's
Correct.
good. 1 year is fair. You have money in the bank and you look at 1 year, over the course of 1 year, you've not even earned up to $100 in interest, right?
It's very profitable, very profitable.
Yeah.
And this is also part of the reason why I am helping others, especially females and minority, because a lot of females are not into real estate. I'm not saying men are not welcome, but I'm definitely targeting the females because real estate has predominantly been a male-dominated area. I know there's a lot more female realtors who are now in the space, but in regards to investing in real estate, it's not a lot of female. And so by what I'm doing with my company, a lot of folks have been asking me, what is it you're doing? You're always traveling here. You're always going here. What is it you're doing? And so they've been encouraging me to, share your story and share what you do. And, this is how I started the podcast, Bold Living Podcast, just to give more information, free information about tax liens and tax deeds, and get folks interested in this strategy and providing information that they can go off and use it. They don't even have to, come to me if they don't want to. There's enough information that I provide on the podcast that you could get started on your own as well in terms of the resources that I'm sharing. But it's very profitable. You could come with 4,000. In some cases, we could even also do less. Just to give you an example, Zuki, just yesterday, actually, I signed an agreement, a purchase agreement for a residential lot. And this was a residential lot that I purchased 2 years ago at a tax lien sale. And it was 2 years ago. And I held on to it because I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with it, because this was out of state. I don't do a lot in New York. I have some in New York upstate, but most of my investments are out of New York just because of the price points. It makes a little bit better sense for me. And so I
like how you mentioned that, because I am so pro therapy. Like I say it everywhere, like I'm so pro therapy, because like you said, it's not so much about you, but it's about how you begin to bleed on other people as well. So if you don't get healed, you don't get help for yourself, you hurt other people. And imagine
how I recently, like in less than a month, decided that I was just going to sell it. I've been holding on to it for 2 years. And so I reached out to a local realtor who was recommended, and saying, say I want to sell, residential lots. And I kid you not, so yesterday I signed a purchase agreement. There was a developer who wants to buy it. I am making, and this is a true case study, and I'm actually going to put it all together and post it on my Instagram and my Facebook so folks can see, and put it also as part of the summit that I'm going to be involved in this year. I made over 200% profit.
Whoa,
on that investment.
Really? Wow, just 2 years. After just 2 years. Wow.
After just 2 years. Right? And this was land. And that's why I tell people, do not pass on land. They're not making any more. They're not building any more land. So if you can get land, right, acquire it. You might not know exactly what you want to do with it, even though I tell people have an exit in mind first, right? But acquire the land if you can, right? And if you want to build on it, partner with a developer, who you trust and know that to help you to build on it. If you just want to sell it as is and not, be involved, because everybody's risk tolerance is different. I understand that. I am I have a very, very high risk tolerance. So I understand that everybody's not like me. So if you don't want to get involved in development, don't want to get involved in rehabs, that is perfectly fine. You can still make money by just selling the land to someone who wants to get involved with that. So it's very, very, very profitable. And like I said, all you're paying is the taxes that's owed on it. Right? That's all you're paying, the taxes that is owed on it.
Owed on it. Wow.
And obviously there'll be attorney fees, but the attorney fees is not a whole lot, right? And so, like I said, you pay the taxes that's owed.
Yeah. So when you pay the taxes that is owed, right? What about the balance, the mortgage outstanding balance?
Good question. And that is a question I get asked very often. So taxes actually supersedes the mortgage.
Really?
Right. Taxes, so there's like a hierarchy. So there will be like a federal lien, or IRS lien, then the taxes, then the mortgage, right? Now, if there is a tax auction on that property, the county would have notified the mortgage company that there is a tax auction that's scheduled for that property. It is in the interest of the mortgage company to pay the taxes on behalf of the homeowner if there's going to be a tax sale. Why would it be their interest? So that they can keep their position, because the tax is going to wipe them out. In most cases. So far, I've only come across one state where that does not apply, right? But in most cases across the country, that applies. So if the mortgage company doesn't pay it for whatever reason, because sometimes mortgage companies gets changed. Like I said, they sell your mortgage to another company. Maybe in that transition, paperwork gets lost, communication gets awry, and for whatever reason, maybe they weren't aware of it. They got notification, which they should have. Multiple communications should have been sent out by the county. So for whatever reason, things happen. The mortgage company didn't pay it, and it goes to tax sale auction. and you have the opportunity to pay, you're now getting a property potentially, right? If the homeowner doesn't pay the back taxes, potentially you'll be getting a property free and clear off a mortgage.
Wow.
Only for the taxes that is owed on it.
Wow. And most times the tax is usually not as much as the mortgage,
not
right?
as much. So you could see your world of possibility just open up. Because there's so much you can now do with that property. You can rent it out, you can fix it and flip it and sell it as market value. You can sell it as it is to a rehabber. There's so many different exit strategies that you could do. You could do it as well as like I do, fix it and create a mortgage for someone else who doesn't qualify for a traditional mortgage, right? So now you can help a family, with home ownership. There's so many exit strategies.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I just
the possibilities are really endless.
Yeah. Wow. You're doing a great job, honestly. And I really, for those listening, honestly, yeah, I think it's a good work. And what's the name of your podcast again?
Bold Living.
Bold Living. Bold Living.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I came up with bold. And this again goes back to my spiritual background, my spiritual life. I was being asked so many questions about from my peers about what I was doing. And they were saying, you need to share your story. Because I was traveling to all the different states for these auctions. And they're like, every time I call you, you're somewhere else. What is it you're doing? And so I started telling them about what I was doing. And they were encouraging me, maybe you should start a podcast. And I'm like, okay, what do I call the podcast? And so for a long time, I was just seeking God about, what should I call the podcast? Because I wanted it to be meaningful. I wanted to make sure that I was putting something out that was going to reach the right person. Like, how, they said, you're the answer to someone's prayer. And so I wanted to make sure that I was walking into that, right? That I was embodying that. And so after seeking a lot about what I should call this podcast, the word bold came to me. And so it actually stands for Begin Owning Legacy Deeds.
There you have it. Begin owning legacy deeds. Wow.
Right. And that's how it came about. And it's all about teaching you about how to now start owning deeds, how to start owning land, how to have that legacy, right? So the podcast is about real estate, it's about business, it's about entrepreneurship. Sometimes it's by myself, sometimes I bring other guests on who are expert in a particular area that I'm talking about. I talk about credit, business credit, personal credit. So everything business, everything entrepreneurial, everything about wealth building, I talk about on the podcast.
Wow. I love that because there are not so many of us, so many women of color that in the space you're in. So I'm so inspired by your story, by the work you're doing, by how you're helping other people of color build generational wealth. There are a lot of people who came here as immigrants. They've done all sorts of jobs, hoping to save up. And in this very dire economy with the interest rates, wanting to buy homes, but they can't afford it. So what would be your advice to that person, to someone wanting to buy first-time home?
First-time home buyer, I would say do not give up, right? There are opportunities out there, you just have to seek it. And especially for those who are coming immigrants, right, who are coming from another country, when you I'll talk for myself. When I came here, I knew nothing about credit. I came here, I went straight to college. In college, they're giving you all these credit cards. I don't know anything the better of it, right? So I'm swiping. The next thing I know, I have bad credit, right? And that's also something I didn't touch on when I talked about my divorce. So as part of my divorce, I went through foreclosure because my other partner did not want to sign the paperwork for the house to be sold. So I actually forced myself into foreclosure. That's a story for another day. Like, why did you do that? How did you do that? And so I knew the ramifications. I knew that my credit was going to be affected. But even with bad credit, I'm telling you folks, even with bad credit, you can come back from bad credit. My credit went down to less than 530. I remember when it was at 530, but I stopped checking at 530, and I was able to build that credit back up into the 7s.
Wow.
Right? So if you have bad credit, just work on it. Look at your finances. If there are things that you can cut out the extra spending. If there are things you can save on, do that. But be diligent about it. Right? Be diligent about it. With the tax lien investing, they don't even check credit, Zuki. Credit is not a criteria, right? You just got to make sure you're over 18 years old and you have some money that is not your rent money that you're looking to invest, right? You can purchase a tax lien certificate and we can talk about a strategy about how to identify the certificates that are less likely to redeem if you're looking for the property.
Okay.
And once you get the property, you could live in the property. You could fix it up and live in the property. You could fix it up while living in the property, depending on the condition, right? Or you could fix it up, sell it, make a profit, and then from that profit, use it to buy your dream home if that's what you want to do, right? So for someone who's looking to purchase real estate, I would say look at tax liens. Look at tax liens investment as a medium to get you started. You do not need a whole lot of money. I tell people, I've had folks who have used their tax return money as their first investment.
Oh, wow.
You got to get creative about how to find that capital, right?
True.
If we need a new handbag, we know where to go get the money to get a new handbag and that new suit, right? And that new shoe, you best benefit. So we can get creative about where to find that capital and how to find that capital. So I often tell folks, most times capital is not the problem, right? It's getting the right education. Getting the right education, sticking to the framework, right, that you're being taught, and follow the process. Right? And if you do that, you will definitely be successful. True. It's not a, what they call it, get-rich-quick scheme. Yeah. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. You have to be diligent. Right? There are things that you have to do. There's research that has to be done to make sure that you're doing it the right way, so that you're mitigating your risk, because in everything there's risk. In every investment there's risk, right? You just got to know what that risk is ahead of time, and also you got to know what you are willing to accept. Right? What you're willing to tolerate.
What your tolerance is. Yeah.
Right. And once you have identified those things, then just stay within your confines, stay within, your own parameters that you've set for yourself, right? And for folks who want to do it one-off as a way to get into home ownership, you could do that. For folks who are looking for passive income where they're having interest rate coming into them monthly, they can do that as well, because if you don't want the property, you could certainly just focus on getting the interest rate return, because that is guaranteed as well by the county. And so you could do that and just get a passive income coming in, cash flow coming in. And if you want to treat it like a business, like I do, you can certainly do that as well.
I see.
So for folks who are immigrants, I would say if you're looking to get into real estate, you don't have a lot of capital, you might have spotty credit, or maybe you have good credit but don't have the capital, vice versa. Look at tax lien investing. Definitely reach out to me. Like I said, my website is apexglobalproperties.com. Reach out to me there. You can contact me there, and we can have a conversation about what exactly you're looking to do as it relates to real estate investing.
Yeah, I'm going to have all your information in the description box of the YouTube video, as well as the show notes of the podcast. So, people can just go there. I went to your website, like lots of information there. And also, they can reach out to you. And we're actually running out. Oh, wow. Time went by so fast. I can't believe it's done like an hour now. I know. Oh my goodness. Wow. So how do you stay motivated? You're such a motivated person. How do you keep that fire, that zeal going?
Just hearing the stories of the folks that I'm able to help, right?
Impact.
Right, correct. And just continuing to lead with that service. Lead with service and everything else would come, right? Actually, again, another way of free education. So I'm so passionate about making sure that minorities get into this space. And so a very business partner of mine asked me to be a part of her Wealth Summit. So she's having a Wealth Summit in November here in New York, in Westchester County. It's Westchester Marriott. And it's a 3-day Wealth Summit. November 8th through 10th are the dates. And what we're doing is we're helping entrepreneurs, female, want to get into real estate, or maybe they don't. It's just whatever business you're in as an entrepreneur, or you're looking to get to your first $100,000. So we're helping them get through their first 100K. So it's an implementation summit. We're not selling anything at that summit. It's just you buy your ticket to come in. There's someone there to talk about credit. There's someone there to talk about business formation. There's someone there to talk about taxes. I'm talking about tax liens and real estate investment. There's someone there to talk about mindset. All the different areas of your business that you need help with, someone will be there to talk to you about that, to walk you through step by step. It's you bring your laptop, we're working alongside with you. If you're stuck, we're getting you unstuck, right? And so it's 3 days of implementation, November 8th through 10th. And for folks who are interested in that, you can have a free, consultation with me. I can offer that, to your audience. And actually, if they're interested in coming, I can also offer some percentage off for them, right? That they can.
Nice.
I will pass that information to you so you can also put it in as to how much I'm able to offer. So because it's really about getting folks in the room, getting you working on your business, getting you unstuck, getting you for that first 100K, so that you could see yourself starting to build, starting to get that financial freedom, which so many of us talk about, but we don't never able to achieve it.
Do anything about it, yeah.
Right. And I'm so tired of people buying into courses, not doing anything with information, not getting the support that they needed. And so this is all about helping minorities on their business that we can.
Fantastic. What's the name of the summit again, and what's the website?
It's the Fiscally Fabulous Wealth Summit. And if you would just want to get more information on it from me, you could definitely go to my website, Bold Living Club /GW5. And I have more information there where you can get more information about the summit. And you can also get on my calendar if you just want to talk about the summit to see if it's a good fit for you. Because really the summit's about folks who are willing and ready to take action. Right? We really want to help folks who are willing to ready to take action, not someone who's just going to come and take the information and sit and do nothing with it. It is time for us to, see ourselves moving up in terms of financial freedom, see ourselves in terms of making sure that, we're having a plan in place as to how we're going to assist our families and the next family, generation after us, to make sure that, we're making it better for the next generation who's coming along and not having to fight the same fights and having the same struggles, especially as immigrants, right? There's so many cards already that are stacked up against us, right?
Exactly.
Coming in. And so I'm here, willing and able to help us get to that financial freedom, get to, whatever freedom you're looking for. If it's not finances, but if it's just time, you could certainly get time freedom as well by utilizing the strategies that I'm talking about.
Wow, fantastic. I can just feel your passion and like the love you have for what you're doing. I can just, it's just emanating, is radiating, through this podcast.
I'm really passionate. And just to see how you can help someone who had no, bad credit. Like I said, I've been there. I'm not telling you something I have not experienced. I've been there. So just seeing, someone I'm able to help them go from bad credit to working on their credit to being a homeowner, to be able to take equity from their home and now invest in real estate, things of that sort. It is truly a joy. I really enjoy it.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you so much. I learned so much from this, podcast. Investments are something that it's sometimes a gray area for me. I usually settle with stocks or like the things that are very, I guess, commonplace people do, which is, I guess, is safe. But when it comes to real estate, it's so daunting. So it's really nice to hear. Never heard about this tax lien thing. So really nice to hear about that.
And I tell folks it's only because it's not a mainstream strategy. It's like most things in life, right? Once you've learned it, then it becomes a little bit simpler for you. So stocks, you understand because it's been talked about so much. You understand how to check the fundamentals. You understand how to do technical analysis, things like that. You understand how to research a company and look at the growth funds, things like that. This is not so much talked about in the mainstream as stock investing is. And so that is why I'm having this education part of it, this free education, to get it out there, to have people get more comfortable with the terminologies and hearing more about it and asking your questions and having your questions answered. So really, once you get into that space, you'll see how really it is obtainable for you to also do this as well and be successful at it.
Wow, fantastic. Well spoken. Thank you so
Oh,
much,
thank you.
Natoyah. It's been a delightsome 1 hour with you. Thank you.
Oh, you're
So
most
what are
welcome.
you working on now? And is there anything in the future? And how can people find you? You've said it so many times. So yeah, you can just
Right now, I am working on the summit, which is coming up in November. So I am preparing myself for that. Like I said, it's a 3-day workshops, 3 full days, because we start early. It's Veterans Day weekend, November 8th, 9th, and 10th at the Westchester Marriott here in New York. You can certainly come and make a vacation out of it. There's tons to do in New York City. And so, yeah, you could definitely make a vacation out of it. You could bring a partner as well, right? So if you're in business with others, you can certainly come with your partner. We have opportunities for that. And just come and work on your business, get the information that you need, get unstuck. And we don't just leave you by yourself after the summit, right? So you'll be having accountability partners as well to make sure that we're continuing with that momentum, that you're able to follow your goals, right, and meet those goals that we've set during the summit. And so if you want to know more about the summit, go to Bold Living Club /GW5, and there you can learn more about the summit, what we're doing. And that's definitely what I'm working on now, because I'm getting, my materials together, getting social media going in terms of that, helping with the promotion, and just talking about that on different platforms that I am, just to bring the awareness out there about tax liens, investing. Like I said, I'll be doing tax liens mastermind that weekend, and there will be other experts as well who are talking about different areas and aspects of business. So that's exactly what I'm working on right now. But like I said, feel free to reach out to me in the interim if you want more information about the summit or just tax liens in general on my website. And check out the podcast. I have tons of information there as well to get you started. If you have, so if we've sparked some interest today in our conversation, you could definitely listen to some of the episodes that are there as well.
Yeah, fantastic. I definitely will be listening because I need to get educated on this more. Wow, thank you so much, Natoyah. I really enjoyed your time here. Me. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much, viewers, for watching, for listening. We appreciate your support. Please ensure to like, comment, subscribe, share, and keep coming back for more amazing content. And please support Natoyah. Visit her website, her podcast, attend the summit, everything. We need to build this generational wealth, We need to make this money.
That's right.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching, and see you on our next episode. Bye.
Bye.